I'm just gonna come right out here and say it, that the only person Bryony was loyal to in this entire movie was that fuck-ass Bob of hers.
Bro, I wish I could be committed to something the way that bitch was committed from day 1 to day 800. How many days are in your life if you're 80? So many. So many days of bobbage. Yeah. It was like when they do a flashback and it's the same actor, but they just like have a bob. It's like they did that, but in reverse.
Exactly.
Right?
She never changed.
I was like, oh, so we're keeping the bob. And then it happened again. And I'm like, oh, so we're keeping the bob.
To the grave.
What's your name, B.O.B., so they calling you Bob?
That was one of the catches for her feeling like she could never get over the horrible, terrible thing that she did.
Yeah.
So she could also never move on from the horrible, terrible haircut that she had.
And it wasn't even just that it was the same bob, but it was also the bobby pin tucking the bangs to the ear.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It never changed. Wow, Bryony, never changed. Have a great summer. Hey, what's up, everyone? I lied to you last week, if you listened, where I promoted that we would be doing a collab with the very cool, swag, awesome, and fun podcast Pop Culture Vultures, but Emily's apartment building had bed bugs and had to get fumigated, so we had to reshuffle some things around this week.
I'm clean.
Yeah. Everything is squared away, clean, no more bugs, but we had to push our cute little collab to next week. So I'm sorry that this is not Monster House, but we will be doing Monster House next week. But we decided to pivot away from the bugs and into World War II. And into the bobs. And I realized that we kind of fucked up. So we were doing like introducing month, meaning like an actor's first like film performance.
Yeah.
And this is technically, so we're covering the 2007 movie Atonement.
It's not Saoirse's first movie.
No. Which I was like, I just thought it was, which is why I was like, let's just do that.
It's her first significant movie.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just fudge it a little bit.
We can all pretend that I Could Never Be Your Woman, the Paul Rudd and Michelle Pfeiffer rom-com that she starred in the year prior. We're gonna scrap that.
Never happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
Not gonna count that.
We have to petition IMDb to take it down.
I think there's another one too. It's like a Christmas movie,
probably,
or something. But when she was like a little kid.
Yeah,
but this
makes sense.
This is the first one that like had color grading involved.
Yeah.
So first major film, and she got Oscar nominated for this. Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress, but she lost to Tilda Swinton. For what movie, I don't know, but the 2008
Probably
Oscars.
Like Orlando or something. Oh, no, not 2008. No, that was way earlier.
But yeah, she was nominated, and I only knew, so I'd never seen this movie before. All I knew about this film was green dress.
Yep.
Saoirse Ronan Oscar nom, and people on Twitter, like, with the caption, like, I wish she would die in a fire, and then this picture of this, like, literal 13-year-old child, and I was like, well, okay, something's gonna happen.
Now that you've seen it, do you agree with them?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we can kind of get into, like, the villainization and sort of how the whole thing unfolds, because I'm like, there is a rapist.
Yeah.
There is a child rapist in the film.
Yeah.
And we're really gonna demonize
the child.
I don't know about that one.
Not the child that got raped.
No, but it's like, who's worse, Bryony or Hitler? Let's think about it. Like, it's Bryony. Like, literally, that's how Twitter, like, literally, that's all I knew. Is like that people are like, yeah, this child is literally worse than the devil. So that was like interesting, and from the moment the movie started, I'm like, my only assumption can be that she has to snitch on someone, because that's the thing that a child would do that would get everyone to hate them, is be a fucking rat bastard, snitch ass. And I didn't even think of it as being like a lying situation, but once it happened, I was like, yeah, this isn't too far from what my expectations were. But you had seen this movie before, right?
Yes, yeah. This was one I kind of watched when I was getting into movies. I was like, okay, Keira Knightley period piece, so it can't be bad.
Right, part of the Joe Wright box set of Keira Knightley period pieces that he's just like, another one, thank you, another one, thank you.
He did Anna Karenina, right?
And Pride and Prejudice.
Shit.
Yeah, he saw Keira Knightley and was like, I have several period pieces mentally lined up for this little bitch. So we're just gonna keep cranking those out in the early 2000s. Yeah. Thank you.
I really like her in Anna Karenina.
I've never seen it, and
it's fun.
I like Pride and Prejudice. I would say I like Pride and Prejudice a little better than this.
Is it bad that Pride and Prejudice in the lineup of those three is my bottom one?
I think you are in the vast minority.
Absolutely.
I think if you were to survey...
Anna Karenina is my top. And then this.
Maybe I'll have to watch it then.
It's just the way that it's set up is really fun, and Aaron Taylor Johnson is in it.
Oh, hot.
And he's like kind of skinny and has a little mustache.
Oh, is he blonde in that one? Oh, I've seen GIFs.
Oh yeah,
I've seen the horny GIFs.
Yeah, where he like steals her cigarette and all that shit. And
okay, I'm sold.
It's good.
Okay, I'm sold.
It's got like baby Alicia Vikander and Donald Gleason, and Matthew McFadden is also in it.
Yeah, this guy clearly has like some cast that he likes to regurgitate and reuse.
Jude Law is like in his fugly era in it. It's amazing.
I just watched Gattaca again because we were talking about it on our Contact episode.
I remember nothing about that.
Jude Law is in that, but he was not like, he's not ugly, but he definitely is not like prime sexy talented Mr. Ripley type Jude Law yet. And I was like, who the fuck is that? Because he's in Gattaca. He plays Ethan Hawke's like body double.
Oh.
And I was like, who the fuck is that? And I was like, damn, Jude Law kind of looks different. Like, he's kind of a chameleon.
Speaking of talented Mr. Ripley, have you seen at all the new show?
No, I haven't seen the show. I've seen like ads and stuff for it, but I haven't watched.
I'm like halfway through the second episode.
Is it really good?
Yes, it's good. It's very different from the movie.
Oh, of course.
Which is fabulous. Mm-hmm. Beautifully shot, I think. I could do without the black and white.
Oh. The whole thing or just parts?
The whole thing.
Oh, interesting.
But obviously it's Andrew Scott.
Yeah.
So fabulous.
So slay.
But it's like so uncomfortable.
Oh, one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I do like. The movie had like a touch of that.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like serving cunt so hard that you kind of are like, well, I'll move past it. But I could see how that exact scenario could provide a lot of like secondhand like anxiety. I would have to be in the right mood to watch that show then. Because sometimes I'm like, I'm getting scared. Sometimes I'm like, I'm scared.
Definitely not one to watch if you like take your edible.
Yeah, no.
No. Okay, but speaking of Andrew Scott, and we're so off tangent right now, but I have just seen recently on TikTok that him and Andrew Garfield have done this thing for Audible where they did 1984, basically.
Oh.
So last night I sat there and listened to a 7-minute long TikTok video of Andrew Scott torturing Andrew Garfield.
You were jerking off.
Well, yeah, of course.
Is it other famous people too? Because I feel like...
I think Tom Hardy is the narrator.
I feel like I
think there's someone else also involved.
I don't know if it was 1984, but I feel like I just saw a list of like a fuck ton of favorite people like as the cast of this audiobook, and it was some classic.
Yeah.
I'm awful for not remembering what it was, but it really might have been that.
I'll have to send it to you because it is
interesting.
Quite something.
Yeah,
those two powerhouses next to each other.
I've never listened to an audiobook with more than one narrate, like with more than one speaker, you know what I mean? But having different people like voice different parts, I think that's so interesting. Like the audio production side of that.
Yeah, part of me wants to like force myself to actually read it and then just go back and listen to it. Who's to say if that'll actually happen or not? If I'll just
I don't think I
jerk
would
off
ever...
to the entire audiobook.
Yeah, right. I just don't think I would ever go back to read something that either I was forced to or in general is on the curriculum of high school English classes. I just don't think I would ever go back and be like, let me read Grapes of Wrath just like for pleasure. Like I simply wouldn't do that.
I feel like from what I know about it, it seems like one that might be worth like taking the time to invest in, because it seems like a very interesting concept and probably a little close to home of where we are today.
Right. I never read that one in high school, but I
didn't either.
I do remember liking Animal Farm and being kind of into that one.
Yeah. What do you think of little Twinkie James McAvoy?
Short King, 5'7". I immediately, this movie started and my Google search was, how tall is James McAvoy? I also, like, why does every time he pops up, I get this, like, sense that he is in, like, a group of brothers who are actors, like, very much like a Skarsgård or a Hemsworth. So. No, he's not. But why every time I see him, I'm like, oh, and your brothers.
He seems like he would have grown up with all sisters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, a man written by women.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for some reason, every time I see him, I'm like, you're part of a group of brothers, but that's not true. But then maybe I'm thinking of, like, the McElroys, like the podcast men.
No idea.
But that's an entirely different thing.
But would you fuck?
James,
in this movie, yeah.
Against the bookcase.
Don't even get me started.
I would have said, Saoirse, get the fuck out of here. They just stopped. I'm like, they did not need to stop. They really could have kept going.
He was bricked up at the dinner table.
He was.
Actually, no, I feel like in that situation, your boner has to go so fast.
Oh, yeah.
Deflated.
That's so true. A child enters the room, done.
Celia.
It's over.
But then, didn't bust soft inside her.
Yeah. But the way that they're up against the bookcase, right? They're really
hands, like, pushed. Oh my god, he's, like, holding her there.
She's starfished. She's starfishing against a wall.
We just skipped to the very best part of this movie, by the way.
I know, we'll do a recap in a sec, but so...
The leg up on the
little ladder.
Oh!
But, so he enters her. Sorry, this is getting a little graphic. But so, there's clearly a moment where there's penetration.
Obviously.
And then the little whimper he lets out, I really thought the plot was going, oh, he just busted, like, he immediately busted. And it's going to be awkward, because she's going to be like, did you? And I really thought that's what the case was.
No, but I loved that he went there.
The noise that he let out, I was like, oh, it's over. I'm like, it's done. It's a wrap.
I loved it.
But then I was like, oh, okay, we're catching a second wind.
Yeah. He's one of those few men. But I love, and I understand that this was, like, 2007 or something like that. I understand that back then everyone was, like, a little more like, ooh, we can't show sex on screen. We can't show, like, butt.
Sure.
We can't show, like, fucking.
I would have liked
that.
to see butt.
I
would have liked to.
If I got to see his bare ass in that, like, little, like, with his cummerbund.
Sorry, babe, let me just pull down my cummerbund.
But, like, I was very impressed by the fact that, like, not a lot of skin was shown.
Mm-hmm. And it was still so horny.
It was still insanely horny.
Erotic.
Truly erotic. Like, this was, like... Was this actually a book, though?
Yes. Written by a man named Ian McEwan, which really, I don't know anything else other than that name should be illegal. Ian McEwan?
That's really bad.
That's a joke.
That's really bad. But it very much seemed like a scene adapted from a book. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people do it very well when they adapt a scene like that from a book. Sometimes they do it very poorly. This was outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the horniness, the tension, and then the little, like, linking pinkies at the dinner table afterwards. Like, yes.
The way he was like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to send you that extremely erotic note. And she said, yes, I understand. Won't you follow me?
Yeah, It was, that whole situation was giving, like, no, that wasn't me that sent that text. That was my friend who stole my phone. Like, when you're in 8th grade and you're like, oh, do you like me? And they're like, and you're like, oh my god, so crazy. Like, I'm at a sleepover, my friend, like, stole my phone. Like, oh my god.
And then you cry yourself to sleep.
Oh my god, she's so crazy. Like, I'm so sorry. That was so weird. Like, it was very much giving that.
Exactly.
But that really threw me for a loop. So if we want to rewind a bit and do the short little recap.
A fast recap, yeah.
It's World War II. This rich little family who lives on this manor. The older sister is Keira Knightley. The younger sister is Bryony. They have... Saoirse Ronan. They have
baby Saoirse Ronan.
They have some cousins over because their parents are, like, going through a divorce. So they've got, two twins and an older sister who seems to be around the same age as Bryony.
Yeah.
Juno Temple, Slay.
Mm-hmm.
And then their older brother comes home with his friend, who is Willy Wonka, and that is also Benedict Cumberbatch. And so,
jump scare for you?
Jump scare Benedict Cumberbumble, and also jump scare that he's like, and I own a chocolate factory.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
And we're just gonna brush this off.
You have to bite it.
The way, immediately when he showed up, I was like, I don't know where this is going, but that man needs to be in prison.
Yeah.
And I was
right,
right. I
yeah.
was like, the minute they showed him, I was like, something is not right here.
Something is amiss.
Something is amiss. I think that they should, if any movie needs, like, a pedophile, they probably should just, like, he really suits it. Like
I'm scared.
I don't know, I'm sure he's just
that
a great actor.
That fuck-ass little mustache.
It was, like, the mustache and, like, the fact that he looks like a lizard in human skin.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that you just think that because he voiced Smaug?
Smaug. No, I think he looks like an iguana. If a man was an iguana, or like, like the...
It's like how what's-his-name looks like a capybara.
Oh my god, yes! A capybara who got a wish to become a real boy. Yeah, for real.
What's his name?
Glenn Powell. Yeah. But yeah, he was doing a great job at being a little fuck-ass creep.
It was also the fact that he said, I make a great drink. It's melted chocolate,
rum, and crushed ice.
I'm like, fuck you.
The way I wrote that down because I was like, for, our little cocktail segment, I was like, you could maybe spin that into like a sort of a mudslide, whatever. But then the minute that it turned, I was like, no. Consumption of chocolate is barred while you are watching this film. I'm sorry, like it's a hard no.
Yeah.
This man sucks all the fun in life out of chocolate.
Horrible.
We didn't need the Wonka prequel movie.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Like we already have it. But essentially he is a creep and sexually rapes Juno Temple, and Bryony witnesses it, but pins it on James McAvoy because she has a little crush on him.
And she saw her sister getting railed by him.
Yes, and she saw that little cute moment they had out by...
Oh my god, don't get me started with that.
By the fountain.
Yes, the fountain.
She noticed a little tension, and she, as a 13-year-old with a little crush on the older boy, he's like sort of their like lifelong, like he lived at their house, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And because his mom is like the main housekeeper, so he's sort of like a family friend, sort of like their dad paid for him to go to school type beat sort of situation. Which I didn't really mean much to me until he said the line to her, like, what is the foundation of this relationship? One moment in a library 3.5 years ago, like when they're re-meeting for coffee or whatever, he's like, oh, like we're hinging a lot on this one moment that happened so long ago. And I'm like, are you not like lifelong childhood friends?
Yes.
Do you not have an entire history?
You're literally just basing this on your cock.
Right, like that was so weird to me.
That was strange.
But he goes to prison, and then they're basically like, you can get out of prison if you go fight in the war. And he's like, well, I guess I'll do that. And before he goes off to war, he reconnects with Keira Knightley, and she's like, well, yeah, we'll get back to me. Like, we'll get through this, and we can get married and live our life and pretend that this whole thing never happened, put it behind us. Afterwards, he goes to war and fucking dies. But they don't tell you that. The movie plays it like he lives, but you know, that pustulating wound on his chest. That pustulating wound,
him falling asleep, septic, like
dreaming sequence.
Yes, dream sequence. Which did you assume that he died?
Absolutely,
basically? Yeah,
absolutely.
Did you know it was coming? Like the whole like,
no, I didn't. I did not know the twist. But
once it happened, you were like, oh yeah, of course.
No, I was like, that man is the minute the veins in his face started being so prominent, I was like, oh, so he's gone. So he's a goner. And then we sort of switch perspectives and we get older Bryony, who's now a nurse.
And she's like, oh, I fucked up.
And she's like, I'm 18 now and I understand that sending an innocent man to prison to then go fight in the war is probably something I should feel guilty about. And she continues to try to reconnect with her older sister who continues to like sort of push aside her attempts. And eventually she does go see her, and they have this sort of confrontation where she's like, I feel really bad, I want to right my wrongs. And she's like, well, you really can't. And then James McAvoy shows up, and they're apparently happily married. And she basically is like, okay, I'll go, I'll tell the authorities, which at this point, is he even facing any consequences?
I don't know.
Like, in this dream sequence, right? In this dream sequence, is he in this alternate reality? They're like, you need to go right the wrongs. But I'm like, you're still, like, living your life
I'm sure
fully.
but he has a record and everything like that, you know what I mean? And I'm sure, like, it's just, And wouldn't you want your name to be cleared?
Yeah, I suppose. And the thing that really spurs her guilt is that Creepy Dick Cumberbatch marries the
girl that he raped.
Yeah, so she's like especially feeling guilty because everything is a product of this lie that she told. But then we find out that she is in the future again. She's 80. She has dementia. She's gonna die. She's an author who's written 20 books. And she has written her last book, which is the autobiographical story of this whole situation. But then we learn that the ending we saw is the fictional ending that she decided to put in the book so that her sister could have a happy ending somewhere. And in reality, he died at Dunkirk, obviously, and she died in the tunnels of the train system from the bombs. They both died in 1940. And she's like, I'll write this book that is truthful until it's not, and then I'll give them this life that they never had. And that's the ending of the film. But it's also very horny, and I would say more than about her being a bitch. This movie's about edging. This movie is about how if you edge long enough, you will die. You will get sepsis. If you don't come, you will get sepsis. Like, you need to let it out. That's my takeaway, honestly.
I think that's a good a good way to think of it.
Because they have their little meet up before he deploys off to war. And this movie's a little time jumpy, which I kind of enjoyed, actually.
I don't usually enjoy that, but this one I think it did well.
I'm kind of a Christopher Nolan-ass bitch, and I do kind of like some sort of choppy storytelling, because I think it forces me to pay attention. Because I'm like, oh, what is this? Oh, no. Like, you actually have to think about it. Which, makes me pay attention more and be like, okay, I shouldn't look at my phone because who's to say where in the timeline this is happening. But they have their little, like, meet cute, and I'm like, y'all need to go in the bathroom and have sex right now. I'm like, for real.
Suck his dick.
He's like, I'm going to war, but I'll come back and make you my wife. And I'm like, you have been edging since that day. And you've been in jail for 3.5 years.
That specific nut has not left your body.
It's a blockage at this point. It's a tumor. It's like, it is calcified. It's not okay. I'm sorry, like, trigger warning for, like, bodily fluid talk.
Oh my god. Can I just say that this movie starts off and immediately, that's not Bryony. That's Joe March. That's literally Joe March.
She's like, I'm writing a play.
She got that Joe March walk and everything.
Yup.
That Joe March.
She Joe marched her ass in there and told the police, I saw what I saw.
But yeah, I did love Saoirse in this. It was very fun to see her, like, so small.
Oh, yeah. The moment that this movie, like, really got me and hinged was, of course, he writes the apology, because they have this tense moment at the water fountain, why is that water fountain 12 feet deep?
I don't know, but I love it.
And why, like, the lily pads, like, there's a whole ecosystem.
I have a lot to say about the setting of this, but let's dissect this scene in the movie first.
Mr. Joe Wright said, what if World War II was beautiful? What if World War II was a little pastel and for the girls? Like, what? But so she jumps in the well, and they have this, like, little tense moment where he broke like a vase because they were having their tense little sexual tension moment. And he wants to type her an apology, which is so, like,
because she, like, basically got nude in front of him,
which is so, like,
he couldn't rip his eyes off of her body, which it's Keira Knightley. I would have dropped to the ground.
I dropped to my knees and started barking, like,
started biting at the grass.
Ripping up the turf with my teeth, like hold me back.
And if I was to go and then see her after that apology, apology note got sent in that green dress. Aneurysm.
Slay.
I'm squirting so hard that it just gets sent into orbit.
I'm actually levitating like it's a jetpack.
It's one of those water jets.
Yep. And they're like, wait, we actually can utilize this technology for the war. How are you pulling this off? Like, this is how we turn the tides of World War II.
We use your tide to turn the tides.
All you have to do is put Keira Knightley in a green dress in front of me, and it's over for the Nazis. Like, I'm sorry. But it was so giving me, like, the text somebody sends, like, the half-ass apology text the next day, right? Like, something, like you have a fight, and then, like, they're like, sorry about what happened. Like, bitch, say it to my face. But he's like, I'm gonna write this little note. I'm gonna write my little note and send it over by way of your little sister. Like, bitch, of course you knew she was gonna look at it.
Be serious.
But he's hemming and hawing, and he's typing, and he's like, let's just do a little one just for me. Mm-hmm. And he's like, so sorry, I cannot stop thinking about your pussy.
I want your cunt in my mouth.
Yeah, period. So sorry about what happened. TTYL. BRB, TTYL, let me know when you get
Still thinking about your puss.
Still, your puss is on my mind. And also sorry about breaking that vase. But so...
Show me your pussy.
But so then he's like, okay, this next one's for real. Mm-hmm. And we see him type probably 40 different notes, and all of them he's ripping to shreds. The pussy note stays intact.
He folds it up.
A little mishap, a little switcheroo. And, of course, the note, I love, but so the singular moment, though, is when we find out that Saoirse Ronan has read, and they... Four individual frames... cut together, C-U-N-T, period.
Yeah.
Love. We see the word cunt in this movie, and I'm like, oh, I'm here. I'm here for this.
I've seen this movie probably 3 times now. I scream every time that happens.
Love. And so she gives the note to her sister, kind of just like, okay, but now she's like, he's a pervert. Yeah. He's a sexual deviant.
That's a sex mania.
He wants to eat pussy. He should go to jail. She at one point is like, we should call the cops on him because I'm really worried about having this man around. And I mean, I guess sex ed in 1935 was probably not great.
Didn't exist.
Little Saoirse she didn't know. Mm-hmm. She didn't know that
people be horny.
People be horny. Who is it but my lovely mother, Jen, here to do chocolate or vanilla, her interim podcast segment, where she's going to say 2 things. We're all going to say which one we like better. Jen, hi, how are you?
I am pretty good. I was telling you guys, I just went to a doctor's appointment. They took me an hour and 15 minutes late.
Wow.
And
I'd strangle someone.
Yeah, I was just like, whatever, I got to get this done.
Are those new glasses, though?
No. No,
really?
These are just like cheaters from Amazon, but they're the blue light ones.
I like them.
Oh, game changer to get the blue light.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jen is tripping balls on LSD right now. You got your eyeballs dilated. So your pupils are huge.
So I have 20/20 though. 20/20.
Oh, wow, congrats.
Oh, good for you.
Really? Mm-hmm. Henry used to brag that he has 20/20, but then he got it tested again recently and it was 2019. Ooh. So he lost a point somewhere. Yeah. So
I guess he has to kill himself.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still have reading glasses, but I'm still...
Isn't like...
It was fine.
It's like pretty normal, like almost everyone over the age of 40 needs reading glasses.
Totally, totally.
And like because of screens, I'm sure we're all going to need them by like 32. Like,
I'm so blind, dude. Mm-hmm. I'm not that blind, but like every now and then, like when I take my contacts out, I'm like, I can't see farther than my hand in front of my face.
Plus, you guys have dry eyes from being on screen so much.
I have very dry eyes.
Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway.
Take care of your health, get your eyes checked, and go to the doctors even if they take you an hour and a half late, I guess.
If you wake up with strange bites on you, don't ignore them.
Anyways, Jen, is there a theme this week?
No theme, off the dome.
Slay.
All right, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Vanilla.
Chocolate. Chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry, or chocolate chip?
Ooh.
I'll stick with chocolate.
I'm gonna say strawberry today. I was out gardening all day. It got me really in a fruity mood.
Nice. I will go chocolate chip. First one, Jenna Ortega or Christina Ricci?
As Wednesday, definitely Christina Ricci. She's the OG. I actually haven't watched the Wednesday show. It got a little too TikTokified before I could, like, it caught my interest at the I was like, oh, looks fun. Tim Burton, fun production design. But then immediately it just blew up so fast that I was like, I simply have no interest in this anymore. I've seen too much of it already against my own will.
It's kind of like one of those ones, like, I think I've talked about this before, where I would get a little stoned and watch, like, really trash TV, like Bridgerton, because I can't...
Hey, don't badmouth Bridgerton.
I love it. But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of in that realm, where it's like, you have to turn your brain off a little bit to, like, enjoy it. Exactly.
Yeah, I see that.
But I do like Jenna Ortega as her. I think she does an excellent job. I'll actually go Jenna on this one.
I think I'll go Jenna with you.
Yeah.
Next one for long songs. Bohemian Rhapsody at 5 minutes 55. Stairway to Heaven at 7 minutes 55. American Pie at 8:32. Or Taylor's version of All Too Well at 10:13.
I have recently made the argument to someone that 7 minutes is the perfect amount of time for a song to be.
Ooh, that's a long song.
I want a good song, right? A good song that ends at 3 minutes, I'm livid. A good song that's like 5 minutes, I'm like, yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
A really good song that's like 7 whole minutes, I'm like, this is exactly everything.
Are you just talking about Greta Van Fleet's discography?
No, I'm not even, that's not even specifically what I'm talking about. But their 7 minute long song is their best song, so it's like it just checks out. I will say I went to a summer camp where we all did a choreographed dance in unison to American Pie by Don McLean every week, and then we would all cry at the end because of how much we loved each other and how much we loved summer camp. So I think I in order to, like, appease the cult that I accidentally joined, I have to say American Pie.
I'm also gonna have to go American Pie. And normally I wouldn't, but today, like I said, I've been gardening all day. I had just come home from, like, Ocean State job lot because I was getting more seeds, and it was like my parents had the opening, like, home day of the Red Sox going,
yes.
and they were playing that song, and I was grilling hot dogs.
What? Wow. Americana.
It was just very specific, and I was singing along to it, and I was like, this is the best day of my life. So I'm gonna have to go American Pie today.
I am also going to go American Pie. I just read a book that referenced American Pie. It's The House by the Cerulean Sea, and it was really, really, really good.
I like the name.
Highly recommend. But they were belting out American Pie at one point.
You guys cried.
Yeah, because I don't know. It was like, because you had to go home for the weekend. It was 6 weeks of camp, but you had to go home for the weekend. So every, like,
you would finish off with a sing-along.
Yeah, it was weird.
I actually just cleaned out my closet too, and there were a bunch of camp t-shirts, and I was like, wow, they really loved tie-dye there.
Yeah.
It was tie-dye.
Yeah, because it was tie-dye Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I had plenty of tie-dye Tuesday shirts in the bin at Walmart right now. Next one, for your YA fiction, you want paranormal or dystopian?
Dystopian.
Yeah.
For a YA, come on.
Dystopian's just classic.
Oh, see, I love a paranormal. I love people with wings and stuff.
No, would you not say that's dystopian? I think this is a little...
I think of paranormal as
it sounds
ghosts.
More mythical, almost.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Maybe I'll go dystopian then.
Jen, just say the full title, Maximum Ride by James Patterson. Like... Except Hot Men with Wings is really in right now because of Fantasy Book Talk. I guess the horny book that all the girlies like right now has a hot man with wings. And I'm like, bitch, I've been thirsting after men with wings since I was like 9. Yeah, fan fiction about men with wings. Come on, grow up.
This is old news.
Old news, sister.
Next one. Round pizza or square pizza?
Round pizza. Fuck a square pizza. Fuck a square pizza.
We had square pizza last night.
Yeah, and it was pissing me off.
Fuck a square pizza. Yeah, I agree. Round pizza is the only way to go.
Totally agree. Peanut butter toast or avocado toast?
I think avocado toast has more room for diversity. You can put an egg on it. You can put a little salt. You can do a lot of different things. Peanut butter toast to me is kind of like a struggle meal. It's like, I gotta go fast. I gotta make breakfast in under a minute. Like,
I'm not going to eat again for 5 hours.
Avocado toast can be kind of like indulgent. It can be kind of like, I'm really going to do it up. So I'll pick it for that reason.
Avocado toast is when I have the time and I like blister some cherry tomatoes and make sriracha mayo and everything like that. Peanut butter toast is what I would eat when I was sick. So, so I'm gonna have to go avocado toast because there's too much trauma.
Like, what, you want to stir out the bubbles of my ginger ale too? Like, come on.
I don't want peanut butter when I'm sick though. I would go plain toast when I'm sick. I would dip the toast in the chicken broth or something.
Yeah, but it was very much like I grew up doing like the brat diet thing or whatever and all that, so.
I will go with peanut butter toast. I will go with chunky peanut butter toast.
Get a little texture in there.
Next one. I Get Knocked Down by Chumbawamba or Party Rock Anthem by LMFAO.
Oh my god. I'll pick Chumbawamba.
Yeah, I think it's a Chumbawamba kind of day.
You know, and I get up again. It's sort of
you are never going to keep me down.
Whereas it's like, is Party Rock in the house tonight? Is Party Rock here with us right now? Like, I don't know about that.
What about you?
I'm gonna go Chumbawamba.
Yeah,
definitely for the sweep. Next one: fruit in your yogurt or granola in your yogurt?
Granola. I'm a picky ass bitch, and I don't like a lot of fruits, and a lot of fruits freak me out if they're like too mushy or not, or like the ripeness of certain fruits really like wakes me out.
I can understand that. Are you I'm assuming you're a vegetable person then?
Vegetables over fruits, yes.
Yeah, same. Jen?
Yeah, same. Vegetables over fruits. I do love fruit though. But I like to dip my fruit in my yogurt. Like,
that makes sense. I'm a granola girl for sure.
Even though I said that, I would pick granola. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been making a lot of acai bowls and everything. And that's like the only way I'm like, oh, this actually fills me up.
Get those oats in there.
Exactly.
Next one, Sound of Music or Wizard of Oz?
Ooh, that's tough.
I feel like I have to say Wizard of Oz because I would say it's more iconic in the longevity of media. Like, the number of things that have stemmed from Wizard of Oz
that's actually a good point.
is even though like those two movies on a platter, which one would I rather watch at face value is probably The Sound of Music. But I just feel like the plethora of things that we got from that one thing is, even though we did get a lot of stuff from Sound of Music, but just like not in the same scale to me.
My life was definitely more impacted by The Sound of Music. I feel like I was just recently thinking about Christopher Plummer pulling down the Nazi flag and ripping it up. So I'm gonna have to go for that.
I will go with Wizard of Oz. But I knew you were gonna say that. Well, not exactly that.
Yeah. I was born and raised on The Sound of Music.
Next one, Miss Annie Hathaway or Miss Jennifer Lawrence?
It's Annie Hathaway for me.
Emma's struggling.
It's gotta be Jennifer Lawrence. I think I'd probably just follow the Jennifer Lawrence like TikTok stan account. Yeah. So I gotta keep it true to myself.
I will definitely go with Annie. Next one, Great British Baking Show or Is It Cake?
So I wasn't going to bring this up, but it is in my notes that there's a Great British Baking Show contestant named Bryony, and I had never heard that name until I watched that season.
She had one hand.
Yes, yeah, she was missing several fingers, so a lot of baking stuff she like had like mobility aid stuff to like help her, and it was really cool, like the different baking tools that they used to like help her. I don't know. It was very cool. She's very cool. But I remember being like, oh my god, what a interesting name, Bryony, and then it popped up again, and I was like, okay, 2 points for Bryony. Great British Baking Show, Saoirse Ronan in Atonement. Like, that's two on the board for Bryony's. But so yes, I will pick Great British Baking Show for that reason. That's such a comfort. That's like if I really need to lower my blood pressure type show.
Yeah, I gotta go Great British Baking Show.
I love Great British Baking Show, but I just finished season 3 of Is It Cake?
Really? Well, I just found, and it went around Twitter a little while ago, like, there's a German show where they try to cut things perfectly in half.
I feel this.
I kind of really want to, like, watch it.
Is it symmetrical?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I know that Is It Cake kind of stemmed from this Japanese game show from the early 2000s where they would put people in a room where like a ton of the things in the room would be edible, but they wouldn't know what, and it would be disguised, so they would just be walking around like biting the doorknob to see, and they'd be like, no, that's real. And then they go over to like, you know, the couch cushion, and they're like, oh yeah, that's cotton candy. Like,
have you seen that clip of Johnny Knoxville? And I can't remember her name. I think it's oh god, I have no idea who she is. But I know the actress. I can't remember her name. But they were on some show together or whatever, and they're going down to like sit down and do an interview or whatever, and you just watch her sit down and she's like screams like, "Bitch, is this cake?" And he made the entire like cushion of the chair cake. I think they were like pranking each other or something on the show, but yeah.
Love that.
Oh, wait, next one, which is the last one, is Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves, or Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley.
See, Never Gonna Give You Up just has that connotation of like you got like you got ripped.
Yeah.
So I have to pick Walking on Sunshine because that song is nothing but pure unadulterated bliss. There's no malice.
Crack cocaine.
No malice to that song.
Yeah, no. That song just reminds me of the Glee Halo mashup with it. With the vitamin D episode, vitamin D. Yeah. So for that reason, I'm gonna go for Walking on Sunshine.
I will also go with Walking on Sunshine. And that's it for
Fabulous.
No Theme, Chocolate or Vanilla.
Thank you, Jen, as always.
Thank you, guys.
For those lovely choices. We love you. Thank you for being on, and we will see you next week.
Yes. Yeah, love you guys. Have an awesome night.
Okay, bye.
I think Bryony is just asexual, though. That's kind of just the vibe she gives me.
Well, she's like, my way of flirting is I'm gonna drown myself in front of you.
Hate.
She's like, wait, that's so like...
Yeah.
Would you care if I died? Like would you still love me if I was a worm? Would you save me if I was drowning? Let's test it out.
Because, I mean, the whole thing of this movie is, like, part of the reason she blames him is because she has a crush on him and she's getting back at her sister.
And jealousy is a disease.
Yeah.
And Miss Bryony's sick in the head.
Mind you, she is 13. This is like a 20-year-old man.
Yeah. Which I feel like my thoughts about the ending of this movie were kind of like, I felt kind of conflicted. I really didn't know if I liked it or not. And then the more I've thought about it, since I watched it 2 hours ago.
Of course.
I feel like this is really reeking of like a story about women written by men.
Yeah.
The book is written by a man. The screenplay is written by a man. This movie's directed by a man.
Yeah.
And while I do think it does a lot of nuances really well, I think making her specifically that age, 13, sort of she's too old to be using childlike innocence as an excuse. Like she's old enough to probably know better, but she's also young enough where you do still kind of feel bad, like, yeah, of course she is still a child. And of course she would do the wrong thing and make a mistake and say the wrong thing or something. But I just feel like then, once it really turns, and then she's like vilified. It's like, fuck this fucking cunt, and this movie's like, this bitch did the wrong thing and you should fucking hate her. Which, yeah, sure. But I just think in another light, we could have possibly explored, like, maybe there would be forgiveness between her and her sister. And, like, it's complicated, but, like, I don't know, like, she was a little kid, and her friend got assaulted in front of her, and that's, like, a lot. I don't know.
It's a lot, but I do, at a certain point, if it was a question of she wasn't sure, almost, you know what I mean? Like, she saw someone, didn't really see who it was kind of thing, but at the end, like...
You see they made eye contact.
Yes, yeah. Her and Benedict, she watched him pull out. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And dash away.
But I do think...
Is it hard to run with a boner, do you think?
Nah. Tuck it up in the waistband. Like, men deadlift at the gym with boners all the time. We've seen it. Like, come on.
It's true.
He scuttles away on all fours. Benedict Cumberbatch reverts into his lizard form and scuttles away into the night. And Bryony's like, I don't know what I just saw, but that was James McAvoy. For sure. But I just think that the complicated nature of that situation could have been explored with a little more sympathy towards her, because she could have been like, yeah, but that whole situation, she thought maybe she was protecting her friend, or maybe she was confused, or I don't know. I just think that
it is fair to say that when you are a 13-year-old girl, you are delusional.
Yes, I'm like, if they made a movie about the worst thing I ever did when I was 13, if they made a movie about that, people would be tweeting that I'm worse than Hitler too. Like, well, maybe not, but you know what I mean? Like, like every 13-year-old girl makes like fucking mistakes and says the wrong thing. Yeah. I don't know. I just think that whole thing could have been, she didn't have to be demonized, because they're like, she said the wrong thing, and then a man died of sepsis because of it. Her sister drowned in a tunnel. He died of sepsis, and you know what? That would have happened if you just weren't such a fucking cunt. If you learned that the word cunt is not a sin. This movie is a manifesto for sex positivity. Yeah, truly. If Bryony had just learned that getting your pussy is like not the end of the world, then maybe she would have changed her mind. Yeah. Exactly. If Bryony had access to fanfiction.net, then who's to say where we would be today? Oh my god. Archive of AO3. I saw some girl on TikTok who has an AO3 tattoo. Like the little AO3 logo, and I was like, slay. Amazing. That is everything. That's amazing. Oh, I fucking love that. Yeah. If I was, not like 8 years old when this came out, I probably would have read fan fiction about this movie. About, like, what would have happened. Like, extending the alternate universe. And extending the library scene, specifically. Yes. Yeah. While that scene is very hot, I would fuck either of those actors. I would also fuck the setting of the manor. That drove me up the wall, this watch. And I knew I always loved that, and I really enjoy the first half of this movie because it's basically set there. I think it's the first 45 minutes are contained just about to this manor, and it is gorgeous. That beautiful fountain that they have and that sprawling like yard, but they also have this fabulous little lake that they sit by, and the cove that Bryony is like writing her plays at, and like just gorgeous flowers, and it made me want to gnaw my skin off. I'm gnawing at the vase, and then I break the vase, and then I have to write a sexually charged apology note to Keira Knightley. Exactly. But it's very much like, to me, there's a handful of movies where the setting is a character. Yes. And which is, first thing that comes to mind is probably like Call Me By Your Name. Oh, yes. Very similar vibes. Very similar vibes. It's summer. It's the dog days of summer. Like, you know what I mean? Beautiful European countryside. For sure. You know what I mean? So that's Amazon immediately, as the credits began to roll, was like, oh, and you want to watch Saltburn next, right? Of course. Yeah, Amazon popped up and was like, and Saltburn. And I was like, yes, of course, that checks. Well, yeah, it's all set, and it's basically set in the same fucking place. But I feel like my final conclusions on this movie were that I didn't really care too much for the story, or the meandering way about this one incident, and really harping on this one thing, and all the war stuff. I really don't give a fuck about war. The war, once it got to the war, couldn't care less. I was like, I don't care. But I would say that the set design, the costumes, the score, basically the acting, every component of this story that I didn't care about made me care about it, because I was like, I don't give a fuck what's happening, but I love what I'm seeing. Like, I think it saved it for me. Like, her cunty little swim cap.
I was literally gonna say, how did she make that sexy?
Bring it back.
Managed.
I could not believe the way that they were sitting by that little lake, by that little pond, whatever. She says, Benedict Cumberbatch, can you bum me a cigarette? He gives her his lit cig. She takes one puff and then immediately dives into the pond.
Amazing.
What a serve.
She says, for fuck's sake, dives into the pond. I love it.
Just fuck you and your cigarette, sir.
Brilliant. Fucking brilliant. We have to talk about the green dress, though.
Right, icon. That was the only thing I knew about this movie. Is I was like, she's gonna wear a really sexy green dress at some point.
You have to have the most perfect body in the world to wear that, I'm assuming. Which, obviously, it's Keira Knightley. She's a movie star.
Right.
Like, yeah, no shit.
I would like to see, like, somebody with, like, a crazy ripped back. Like not bodybuilder-esque, but like if in the Love Lies Bleeding vein of it all, like a fucking jacked woman in a dress that just doesn't have a back, like that is really stirring my loins to think about. Because you gotta have shoulder blades for days.
Well, she definitely did
to be serving that, or like when you can like see the little the dip, the little hip dips.
From what I know about that dress, I meant to do a little bit of research, but it was so delicate.
Oh. Yeah, I guess like it is like silk looking material.
Yeah. They had to be very like careful with her.
Oh, do you think it's like historical or like archival or something?
I don't think so, but I think it was just like I think it has to be specifically made to look like that, you know what I mean? So it doesn't shock me that it's probably very delicate.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's like literally being held by like the tiniest little spaghetti straps that go from her ass crack like all the way up to her tatas. Like imagine you move you sneeze, titty pop out. Like wrong.
Which also, I could not ever imagine wearing that dress if you have more than a B cup.
No.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. No. Your boobs were down to your stomach.
Well, also the cut of that dress, like, would be so unflattering so fast on so many people. It's like a low dropped waist and like the whole top is like kind of baggy yet form-fitting at the same time. Like so bizarre. Like
she's like the only person I can imagine wearing that.
Yeah, for sure. Or Natalie Portman because they look exactly the same.
Yeah, or like Hunter Schafer.
Yes, Hunter Schafer could do this.
I'd kill myself.
For sure.
I want to be the green dress specifically for Halloween. Not Keira Knightley in the green dress, just the green dress.
Like a cardboard cutout, and my eye holes are like where the nipples would be probably, right?
Those nipples are that close together.
Well, maybe to scale, the dress can end like here, you know?
Oh my god, the rest of you is the bookcase.
Stop. And then your friend just dresses up like James McAvoy and just starts can just hump the front of you like for real. Oh my god. I just really the way she was starfished. Imagine the core strength, the abs. It would take. She's in heels. 1 foot up on the little ladder, which that ladder is on wheels.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She's gonna be in the splits. The minute he busts, she's in the splits. Hands spread.
Yes.
Legs out. That's a core workout.
That is a core workout.
New workout challenge. Get fucked against a bookcase. Burn 2,000 calories.
Do you think the dick was that good that she was still thinking about him 3+ years later?
Well, I guess it's like...
Or do you think it was guilt?
It's old times.
Yeah, I guess it's just like you kind of fuck once and then you're married, right?
It's like all of the soldiers are like looking at like high school senior photo headshots of their wives and like cranking their hog to that, and like that's about as good as it gets. Like they do not have Pornhub.com. They do not have any other release. So I'm sure the memory of a half good dicking will really get you some mileage. Especially it didn't even seem good. It lasted all of 3 seconds and you were interrupted by a child. If anything, that would go in the trauma repressed. Do not think about it bank.
Yeah. Yeah, truly.
The fucking that sent him to war?
I don't know. If I heard him, like, whimper like that, I would also think about it a lot.
Men start whimpering.
Yeah.
The men who listen to this podcast already whimper. I'm sorry.
I love you all, and that's one of the reasons why I love you, because you're not afraid.
But I usually hate war movies as a rule.
This was like
I have a few.
This was like a fourth of it was war.
Right, so I'll give it the free pass, but like a lot of the war stuff, I was like, you're starting to lose me.
Once they got to Dunkirk, I didn't hate it.
So that whole, like, sort of, he's clearly going into sepsis. He was so real for looking down, seeing his pustulating chest wound. He, like, squeezes it a little bit, and then just moves on, and then proceeds to then perish. I'm like, that's so me. It's like
that would be exactly
like, what's this weird gash I have, pokes a few times.
Yeah.
Let me go. But when he's wandering around on that beach, I was like, Christopher Nolan found dead in a ditch.
Literally.
I did not need to see Dunkirk.
Nope.
Because of the scene of, like, the sun is setting, a Ferris wheel is running for some reason.
They're shooting horses.
They're just killing horses. And James McAvoy is deliriously trying to find a place to finally rest, I guess. And I'm like, this is about as war as I can get.
Well, that scene of him in front of the film that they were showing, too. Brilliant. Amazing.
Why was that happening? I don't know, and I don't care.
I don't care. Just men getting drunk and waiting to die on a beach. Fuck it, whatever, I guess.
Slay.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Yeah, the first, 20 minutes before that of them, him,
marching
through the French countryside and all that shit.
And I guess we did need the context of, he got separated from his battalion and he's trying to find his way back so that he can go home. And, I get it, but I'm just like, I don't need to see dead children. I don't need to see...
Yeah, that was a bit much.
I don't need to see, I don't know.
That was a bit much.
And that's where I think we could take this movie from 2 hours to an hour 40.
Yeah.
Just cut some of that.
Agreed.
His friend who hangs out with him while he dies. I'm he didn't even really need to be there.
Yeah.
Or give me more. Why are you here?
Exactly.
Prove your character's worth.
Exactly.
To me, sir.
But yeah, I didn't hate the Dunkirk scene. I actually really liked when they got there. And then the jump cut to old Bryony.
Jump scare.
That's not a real person. That's Elizabeth Moss and Dakota Fanning had a baby.
Oh my god.
And that's her.
So true.
Because I remember first seeing this movie and I was like, is that a Fanning or something? Who is that?
Yeah. No,
and it's not. This is the most that she's really done in her IMDb.
She did a good job, but if I was her, I'd be so pissed that the child version of you gets the Oscar nomination and you never get work again. She was okay. She was
okay, but I do think she was a step below everyone else. Yeah. You know what I mean?
An 80-year-old Bryony, slay.
Love.
She's like, I have dementia, so I make things up all the time. She's like, I've actually had dementia since I was 8. And that's why I'm...
that's why I named James McAvoy.
That's why I'm a lying ass bitch.
Yeah.
No, I just love that she's still... The Bob consistency really sent me.
Crazy.
But do we want to get into our regularly scheduled programming?
Absolutely.
Who do we... I mean, we can't fuck, marry, kill with Keira Knightley... James McAvoy, because we can't add Benedict Cumberbatch, kill. We can't add adult Bryony, kill. Who is a third contender that we can even consider? Her brother, he was a nothing character.
That's a gay man.
Kill.
Did they imply he was gay? They, implied he was gay, right?
I was literally looking at the set design around him. That's how much he bored me. I was didn't care.
Fuck, marry, kill. James McAvoy, Keira Knightley, The Estate.
The Estate, okay. Well, I'm gonna marry The Estate, of course.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll have to kill James McAvoy, because even though he was really doing it for me in this, it did seem like he was gonna bust really fast. Whereas she, I think,
sometimes I don't want it to go on for that long, though, you know what I mean?
That's very honest and very true.
Which also, for anyone for anyone that watches this podcast on our Patreon, I mean, look at me. Of course I'm gonna fuck Keira Knightley.
Yeah, wait, it's what's your perfect bug? Against a bookcase in a gorgeous dress, it lasts 45 seconds. Actually, kind of a slay. That's actually kind of ideal. Yeah. But no,
because I read that note that I got sent, and I'm wet for the next hour until I see him.
And it's all about edging,
exactly.
right? And we're edging. This movie's actually like the dangers of sexting.
I was jerking off in my room before they rang the dinner bell, and then they rang the dinner bell, and I couldn't finish.
Right, I prepped.
Exactly.
I'm clean. I'm prepped. We're ready. But no, I'm gonna fuck Keira Knightley, and I'm gonna kill James McAvoy because, like, come on, if you see Keira Knightley in that dress and you're choosing to not fuck her, you deserve to get shot. Like,
yeah, exactly. They should take you to the beaches of Dunkirk and shoot you in the head like a horse. I'm gonna do the same thing because I was so geeked about the setting of this movie. And maybe that's just because it's spring and I literally I spent all day gardening today and it was gorgeous. But yeah, I'm gonna marry the estate and I'm gonna fuck Keira against the bookshelf.
Spoilers for Monster House. Have you watched it yet?
No.
Oh, never mind then. Okay, you're hosting your little dinner party.
I'm gonna get so British with it.
Food and drink. What are you serving?
I'm gonna serve you literally, like, get so British with it. Scones with... A scone with clotted cream and jam.
Okay.
Nowhere have I ever in America had a scone with clotted cream and jam.
Yeah, never.
But I was in London, like, once. And, yeah, they slap. Absolutely.
Every scone I've ever seen looked so unappetizing that I wouldn't even consider it an option. Well, because I've never been to... They've all been in America in pastry cases full of other stuff.
Better looking pastries. Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. Ooh, but, like, a cheddar, like a cheddar and chive scone. Hot.
Could slap.
Sexy. And then I think you make a lavender sour with gin and like a lavender simple syrup or a lavender, what's it called? Liqueur.
That's what I'm sipping next to the pool before I throw my drink in Benedict Cumberbatch's face, take his cigarette, and jump in the pool.
Take his cigarette, queef on him.
And push him in the pool. Shoot him in the head like a horse.
You're not even queefing on him, just ripping him.
Give him pink eye. Oh my god. No, Ridley Scott.
I'm biting his fingers off.
Because I saw Keira Knightley in that wet little slip, and I just started going feral, and I'm biting Benedict Cumberbatch's limbs off, because I'm just going crazy.
Oh my god.
No. Ridley Scott saw this movie, and he saw them shoot those horses, and he was like, wait, what if we did this, but the most? That cannonball into that horse's chest, I think about probably once a week.
It's a lot.
It's astonishing.
It's really a lot.
So for my cocktail, I found, so originally online on bustle.com, of course, an Atonement julep. Aw, it's a pun. That. Very cute. But I found what I thought was better on a cocktail recipe website called Whimsy Soul, which I hate that, but it explains the history of this. It's called A Suffering Bastard, which I feel like is kind of suiting for this movie.
Love.
And it's just gin, bourbon, lime juice, ginger beer, and you garnish with an orange. So it's essentially just a Moscow Mule, but also with bourbon in it. Okay. So I don't really care, but I thought that the history of this was kind of fun. I only skimmed the article, so I'm not going to give the details as good as I probably could, but it is related to World War II. So I guess the Nazis had like cut off trade routes between Northern Africa and Europe. So in Northern Africa, they were like lacking in supplies because all the trade routes had been cut off. So this bartender in Egypt, like they didn't have a lot of supplies, so he came up with this cocktail.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And apparently it was so good as a hangover cure, like your morning of, I need to drink
ginger,
again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because of ginger. And so everyone liked it so much, and all of the soldiers really liked it the next morning, that there was this battle somewhere where they asked this bartender specifically to send 8 gallons of this cocktail to the front lines, for the soldiers to drink before the battle, and he did it, and then they won. So
imagine being like a little tipsy going into battle.
Going into literal World War II.
That's crazy.
I'd be too scared.
No.
Like, okay, I gotta rip a quick Moscow Mule before I get on my horse. like,
I think that's the way to do it.
Before I get ready to die.
Yeah, literally.
But I thought that was a fun little historical story to go along with a
that is very
cocktail
cool.
with a fun name.
That. I like that a lot. And what are you eating?
And then, so originally I was like, you cannot do chocolate.
Fuck that.
Because that's, like, fucked up. And then I was like, green, like, what's a good, like, green food? Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, I don't want to tell you to, like, eat arugula. Because that's, like, fucked up. But I think you make a really sexy, like, goat cheese and arugula pizza.
Fuck yes.
With, like, with, like, some fig jam or something. Oh. But just because it's green. Yeah. And then you're like, it's green. The dress is green.
Love.
And you have
that's all you really need.
Yeah.
What are you going to follow this up with?
So, of course, you could just watch any other Joe Wright period piece with Keira Knightley, and that will match the vibes. Like, this movie did really make me want to rewatch Pride and Prejudice, because I really do like that one.
You could also just watch The Imitation Game, which is World War II with her and Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, which is, like, would be seamless. Uh-huh. But then I was starting to think about, like, movies that have a fake-out ending, of like an ending that isn't, and then we backtrack. So the first two that came to mind were Scott Pilgrim has the little fake ending, but then I was like, that is a hard vibe switch. And then
very hard.
Similarly, Everything Everywhere All at Once has like the fake out ending where they like fake roll the credits, but then they zoom out and it the movie within a movie. But I feel like the perfect vibe transition is you watch Breaking Dawn Part 2, which has the vision that is the ending, but then we roll the credits back and it's not real, it was just the vision. That gagged me.
That's smart.
And that gagged me just about as much as I think that this fake out ending probably gagged the girls back in 2007. Yeah. And I would like to lighten the mood a little bit, because I am thinking about like dying of sepsis. You know, I want to think about vampires. I want to lighten the mood. So I'm going to say you watch Breaking Dawn Part 2. Because everyone was talking about Eclipse this past week because of the eclipse. And I'm like, that's the worst fucking Twilight movie. I like texted my friend jokingly. I was like, should we watch Eclipse? And she was like, I would not ever choose to watch that one. That's the one I would rank the lowest of all the Twilight
I don't even
movies.
remember what happens. I just know they like fight Victoria.
Yeah, and
she chooses Edward.
They cuddle on a mountain. She has to cuddle with Jacob for warmth, basically. That's like the one horny part that I remember.
Jesus. I'm gonna go with the movie that has like such setting character. Instead, Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah, that is a really good,
which I understand is
questionable.
Yes, a questionable movie. I get that. Another through line, because it is, you know, a fully grown man having sex with a child.
Essentially, yeah.
But I don't know, like, that's just a movie that I like to put on in the background.
Oh, because again, the score, gorgeous.
Score is gorgeous. Setting, visually, like, I don't need to know about the romance. I just want to see the visuals.
I just want to see Timothée Chalamet riding a bike.
Literally.
Just give me that twink on a bike.
I don't need a whole lot.
Yeah, I like that.
What are you going to rate this? I'm going to give it an 8.
I'm going to give it a 6.5. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't really see myself rewatching it again, but it does make me want to watch Anna Karenina. Like, it does make me think about this director and this genre and wanting to kind of revisit.
I think you'll like it.
Some of that.
But
yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. Yeah. It's a good solid like 3.5 star Letterboxd type moment.
Yeah, let me give it a 7.5.
Yeah,
I think that's what I rated it on Letterboxd. I think I gave it a 3.5.
But I did enjoy it, and this really made me think about James McAvoy as like, is he past his prime? Like, is he gonna have like a renaissance?
No idea.
Because he was like doing this, but he's never, I mean, not that Oscar nominations mean the world, but he's never been nominated. Mm-hmm. He's never really, to me, been in anything that was like groundbreakingly good.
No.
But I'm like, is he gonna have like, once he hits like 50, is he gonna have like some sort of renaissance where he like really breaks through as like a serious actor? Because he does impress me a lot. But then I'm like, he did Split, and I'm like, you're a joke. Like, but I mean, he was fine. He's a fine actor. But I was like, come on, who's your agent? Like, let me talk to your agent.
Yeah,
we should be getting him
serious roles
into period period pieces.
Absolutely.
More period pieces for James McAvoy.
Absolutely. Justice.
You heard it here first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening.
This is the horniest pod we've had in a while.
I know. I'm, like, gonna put a warning in the description of, like, if you don't want to hear about bodily fluids, like, maybe skip this one.
I feel like we got back to our roots today.
But be tuned in, stay tuned, ears open on the pulse for next week, because we will have our guests, and we will be covering Monster House, which I also think will be a lot of fun, with the Pop Culture Vultures podcast, whose stuff I will link below if you want to check them out. Again, if you like the wet and squelching vibes that we've got going on here, I think you'll like them a lot too. Very shooting the shit, girl talk type shit. And yeah, thank you for listening. Saoirse Ronan, I'm sorry we said that this was your first movie when it was not. Dream guest on my podcast. Probably Saoirse Ronan. I cannot stop thinking about JoJo Siwa.
Don't get me started.
Spice things up. Probably one of my exes.
I know she's baiting me. I know she's baiting me because she wants everyone to talk about her.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
It's just so fun to make fun of. Like, it's just so easy. Which, yeah, again, I know that that's the point. But I'm like, I'll bite.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Fuck
it. But yeah, thank you for listening.
Mwah.
Goodbye and good night. And, wear protection if you're gonna fuck against
a bookcase.
I was about to say a stairwell. Don't do that.